Welcome to Two Hypnotherapists Talking with me, Denise Mejia, in Delaware, USA.
And me, Martin Ferber, in Preston, UK.
This weekly podcast is for anyone and everyone who'd like to know more about the fascinating subject of hypnosis and the benefits it offers.
I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and psychotherapist.
I'm a retired medical doctor turned consulting hypnotist.
We are Two Hypnotherapists Talking.
So let's get on with the episode.
Okay, and let's get on with the show indeed. And this week we've got a very special guest, my former tutor, Karen Dunnet. Karen, hello.
Hello there.
Karen, meet Denise.
And hello,
Hi,
Denise. Lovely
to
meet you. Lovely to meet you both. Well, know you, Martin, obviously, for a number of years now. But and I'm very, very flattered and honoured to be invited onto your podcast.
It's great.
Where
To have you on here.
Where are you, Karen?
I'm based in Skipton in North Yorkshire in the UK.
Oh, okay. Yorkshire I can handle. Skipton I can't. Okay.
No, I didn't know where it was either until I came to live here. So that's perfectly understandable. But it's a beautiful little town. It's a market town, nice canal going through it. The Liverpool Leeds Canal runs through the middle of the town. So
very nice.
Nice place. But as you may have gathered from my accent, I'm not from here originally. I'm actually from Aberdeen in Scotland. That's where I hail from.
Another nice place, although cooler.
Not much cooler than Skipton, to be honest, and a lot drier and sunnier.
Oh, that's good. All right. So, what are you going to talk to us about today? How did you become a hypnotist? What led you to it? Because that's also a fascinating part of people's lives.
Okay. Well, this is probably about career number 6, to be honest.
Okay.
I started off in research, spent a lot of time in pharmaceutical research. And during that point, I've always been fascinated by what goes on in the brain, to be honest. So that scientific background was a beginning towards it. From there, I've done various other things. I did a master's in rural environmental management, hence my interest in nature, which we'll link into that later. And I then took on a cafe. So it's been quite varied, really, I have to say. And when you're running a cafe, you find that people do talk to you a lot.
Yes.
So and I've got that sort of face, apparently. People want to talk to me about the problems, which can be good and bad. And when I finished with the second cafe I had, I'd always wanted to do something with people. I actually started to do a degree in counselling and the solution-focused hypnotherapy training at the same time. Okay. And as I went forward with that, I decided that wasn't a very good retirement plan because it was going to take me about 60 hours a week to do the two together. And I actually came down on the side of solution-focused hypnotherapy. Because
had you been experienced hypnosis yourself?
No, I hadn't. Not at all. It was my cousin's husband, actually. He's a counsellor and a hypnotherapist. And he said, why don't you try hypnotherapy? So that
you've got a hypnotherapist in the family. That's good.
Indeed. He doesn't do it anymore. He's retired now. But he was the one who actually persuaded me that this was an interesting and good thing to do. And it suits my sciencey background because I can love to understand more about the workings of the brain. And as I say, the solution-focused aspect is really what sells it to me because it's such a lovely, positive way to work with people. The counselling, I stopped in the end. I didn't complete that degree because it kind of made me realise having to have counselling myself and not having anything I wanted to talk about in particular, it gave me a full-on demonstration of how upsetting it can be to dig down and all into the past and all the things that have upset you in the past.
Right.
So I thought, you know what, we don't need to do that. So I don't want to go that route. So here I am.
Not that we're suggesting that people shouldn't use counsellors. It depends on whatever situation you're in. Yeah, you need to look at all the possibilities of improving your life.
Absolutely. One size does not fit all, does it?
Exactly.
But that wasn't the right one for me. So I went the solution-focused route, and I love it.
This is really strange hearing this from you, Karen, because I can remember back in the day when you were teaching me, the first couple of modules, I couldn't get my head around not allowing people to offload. Because similarly to when you had your cafes, when I was a jeweler, part of people's journey, jewelry is usually an emotive purchase, christenings, birthdays, engagements, weddings, that kind of thing, or even memorial jewelry. Quite often people want to offload as part of the journey of you making something for them. And, I regarded it as part of my job to listen to them. So I couldn't get my head around that at first when I was training to be a therapist. It's not necessarily a good thing listening to people offload, as in, get them concentrating on something else instead. Because I used to think at first, how rude, not listening to people.
Right. But obviously they come in and they tell you their story, but then they don't have to relive the pain each time they come in. We still it then. Yeah,
we do still listen, because it would be rude not to listen at all, wouldn't it? But the idea is to guide them towards how they want the future to be, rather than dwelling in the past. Really, that's how I would phrase it. But I remember you being very skeptical about the solution focused at the beginning of the course, and I also remember the day you walked in and you said, "I've got it. It's fantastic."
I got it. Yeah, I had a light bulb moment, because I remembered an incident after the jewelry shop had been robbed, and what my GP said to me, and it just suddenly fell into place. It was like, yeah, I get it. I absolutely get it now. And from that point on, I've absolute faith in the process, and I understand why the process works. It was really, really strange, that.
Yeah, in fact, I have to say, I've often wondered why you chose a solution-focused hypnotherapy course, Martin, with that in mind.
Because after studying everything, and I shopped around a lot, believe me, it was the only one that appeared to be evidence-based, science-backed, and not full of BS.
Fair enough.
But putting it bluntly.
Yeah, that's a good reason. Good reason. Yeah.
So you found it and you started practicing right away? You opened a practice as soon as you qualified?
Yes, I did. And I was in practice for a couple of years, I guess. And then I wanted to become a supervisor, because, as I say, people like talking to me, and, I enjoy that side of things. So I did that training with Kathy, who is the other tutor that taught Martin. She was also my supervisor at that point. And the reason I became a tutor was because she emailed me and said, how's it going? How are you getting on? And I said, not too keen on the portfolio element, to be honest. I've had enough of writing essays, but I'm really enjoying the working with people. And then just as a joke, I said, perhaps I should have been a teacher. And she came back to me almost immediately and said, you know what, Karen? I'm opening another school in Preston. Do you mean that? Would you really like to be a teacher? So it can be the smallest little thing, can't it? A little throwaway comment that makes a big change in your life, and takes a different turn from there.
Yeah, you planted a hypnotic seed.
Either that or she did. Not sure which way.
So you're opening a hypnosis school in Preston itself, or just the Preston area?
It's in the Preston area. There are going to be about 8 schools. So it's the Solution Focused Training Academy. And Kathy, who I just mentioned, she's the founder of the whole thing. And she has taken all her knowledge and all her colleagues' knowledge about what we think works, what doesn't work, how the best way to teach. And she's put it all together in this new training course. So Preston is one of the centres at the beautiful Myerscough College. Martin knows the college, although we didn't spend much time there. But it's an agricultural college, so it is in a beautiful place.
And lovely. Great for you, the environmental person.
Well, absolutely. It's quite expensive sometimes, because there's a really nice garden centre there. And I've bumped into Martin there when I've been teaching other courses. So it can be quite expensive if I get carried away in there each weekend.
Yeah, Nick and I had driven there I think it was a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon, I can't remember. It would have been a Sunday, I think. As we frequently do, visiting garden centres, and we're just breezing through, and I'd completely forgotten the course that had been running there that weekend, and I bumped into Karen in the middle of the garden centre. She'd sneaked in there on a lunch break.
I had. Well, I don't sneak. I just take whatever I buy back into the classroom, but that's okay. So yes, it is a wonderful place to do the walking therapy, and this new course, I think everybody involved is really excited about it. It's the only course where you can get your HPD qualification in 6 months. All the other courses in the UK take 10.
Would you say all the big words, please? Because you're talking to different countries. We don't have the same qualifications.
The HPD is the Hypnotherapy Practitioner's Diploma. And that is verified by the National Hypnotherapy Council in the UK, which is one of the leading organisations to do with hypnotherapy. So, sorry, yes, I forgot. Yeah, there are too many acronyms in this world, aren't there?
And it's an NCSFE recognised certificate, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Okay, now you get to do it too.
Some national certificate further education, is it? NCFE?
Yeah,
something like that.
I think so. But that's kind of the national qualification. So that's quite exciting. As I say, all the other courses in the UK, it takes 10 months to get that qualification. So we've shortened that duration. It's going to be a mixture of 6 face-to-face weekends and then 2 online weekends with Martin in charge of those. There is a massive support behind it all, which I think is fantastic, called the Hive. So people will be able to go onto the Hive. There'll be refresher tutorials on there. You know, if we've done the rewind, reframe, for example, there'll be little videos on there to remind the students first time they're going to do those. Will
the students be able to connect with each other as well through that?
They will, and we're also going to have a buddying up system, so everybody will be buddied up with a colleague, with a fellow student on that first module, which I think is really important because we haven't been doing that formally. People tend to do it, but maybe not right at the beginning. So it's nice to formalise that, I think.
Yeah. And it was one of the biggest things in my training, because I was a distance student as well. The States is kind of big. You can't get across the place in less than a couple of days if you're driving. But my school is based in California. But very early on, several of us, we would have a tutoring session with our various different tutors online on X day at X o'clock. Another thing is a problem because you've got several time zones. And several of us just clicked. And so there was one person in Washington State, one person in Florida, one person in Wisconsin, and me. So we had 3 time zones. It got really fun because some people were still working. But they became very close friends, and it was so nice when I would get frustrated with something that was being supposedly taught to me, and my other experiences was disagreeing with it somewhat. I had at least one person I could call always. Yeah,
it's good, and to have people to practice with as well.
Yes.
I think that's so important.
Which is the other question about at what point do you have people see clients other than fellow students?
That happens after module 3. So
about 50% all the way through. Okay.
Well, less than that time-wise, because so it's about what we're talking 12 weeks in. And again, that's really important, and that is another thing that it's not unique to our course, but there are a lot of courses in the UK, and the students only ever practice on each other. And to me, that would be absolutely terrifying. I can't imagine only ever having practiced on my fellow students and then all of a sudden sitting in front of a real client thinking, it's not good for building confidence.
Yes, exactly. How many courses how many client hours do you require people to complete?
I think the actual course asks for something like the HPD asks for something like 120.
Yeah.
But if people do what we ask them to do, then it tends to be higher than that.
Good.
Yeah,
That's the part
I remember
that really,
it well.
this is one of the frustrations that we have, Martin and I, because there's so many courses. You can learn to be a hypnotist overnight, almost.
I
Certainly in
know.
a weekend.
Yeah.
And it's not very hard to learn the techniques, but the practice and to know when to use which one.
Absolutely.
It takes a while.
It does
And
take
it's
a
such
while.
a disservice to people who really want to be good hypnotists, and yet I've been in meetings. I don't know, both been in meetings with, and somebody said, "Oh no, I saw 6 people. 6, that's like first week."
I know. Well, we ask people to see 4, 5, 6 people per week during the training, and that experience is what it's all about. You know, you can read the techniques, you can practice the techniques, but until you've got a real person sitting in front of you, then it's not the same at all. So yeah, very important.
Yeah, I'm remembering back now to sort of the anecdotes yourself and Kathy would come out with while you were teaching us. And it's that real life experience of the tutors as well, because I can definitely remember Kathy talking about, I think it was a clinic in Chorley she was working in, and saying like the window cleaner's washing the windows, somebody else is banging, something else is happening. And, you know, and having the confidence to be able to say, and all of these sounds will remind you of just how relaxed you are.
Absolutely. It does. You do need the confidence to do that, don't you? Because otherwise you're sitting worried, and if you're giving off those worried vibes, that's not going to be very helpful.
No, that's it. Somebody will pick up on it straight away, won't they?
Well, they will.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And generally, nobody notices except you. I've certainly had the window cleaner here while I've been seeing somebody, and when they've been in trance, no clue. You can have a coughing fit, can't you? And you can just sort of take yourself out and come back, and they don't notice. So,
well, touch wood. I've never had a coughing fit during trance. I have had a touch wood.
You've just jinxed yourself there, I think, Martin.
That was funny last night, Denise, on the taster session. They started doing a trance session. Well, you know me, trance junkie. I was like,
Well,
I had never been hypnotized successfully. I've been in a few groups of people. Oh, let's do this little. I was watching the clock, but as we practiced, you know, by the time I've been in training for about 6 or 7 weeks, it was, "Would you like to be hypnotized?" Oh yeah, thank you. It's all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. What a great idea! Let me go to La La Land for a while.
Yeah. Amazing. And actually, you mentioned self-hypnosis there. That is one of the things that we're going to be covering on this course, which is not actually included in the requirements to get the HPD that I mentioned earlier. But we've got quite a few extra things in there. We've got a lot more, as I said.
Mindfulness hypnosis, Karen. Bring it to the world. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I use quite a lot in my own practice, actually, because there's a lot of correlations, I'd say, between mindfulness and hypnosis. So that is something that we're bringing into the new course as well. Kathy was saying last night that there's new research out that shows that it's a powerful combination. So we're definitely including that.
That's interesting. I get asked quite often, isn't this just mindfulness? But I think of it as sort of the other side of the coin. You're cleaning out all the stuff that you don't want, and you'll be able to concentrate so much better. And also, if you're mindful the whole time, you'd be exhausted at the end of the day. You've got to allow your conscious mind to take a break.
Yes, you do. I think there are certain aspects of it that really appeal to me, and that kind of links in with the nature. Because I think if you're in nature, you know, if I go for a walk or something, and if I'm feeling a bit out of sorts or a bit stressed, I will find somewhere just to sit, and I will sit there, close my eyes, and just really focus on what I can hear. So taking one sense at a time, that works for me, because it just lets everything else go.
Do you teach that as a separate? It's part of your course, but would you teach it to another hypnotist?
Well, yes, actually, one thing we're planning to do with this course is anybody that is aware of what's going on, they can come along for just one module and just pay module at a time. So if there are specific things they would like to learn, then yeah, they can do that. So yeah, so they could come along for a day or for the whole weekend, or to part of the online. So yeah, and we will be looking at doing CPDs and things. Still early days, you know, so we want to get everything just absolutely perfect for the course, and the teaching for the face-to-face one starts in April. So hopefully the distance learning should be up in about January, I think. So
as a hypnotherapist, Karen, I've never asked you this before. What's the most unusual thing you've had to help somebody with?
I think the most unusual was somebody came to me with, she had developed a fear, not quite a phobia, but a fear of taking her steam engine driving test.
Oh, that's very unusual.
I think that's fairly unique.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this, but it takes 8 hours, the driving test, to drive a steam engine. So she'd gone out with her father-in-law for a trial run, and he had just been so critical, not meaning to be, I don't think, but he just, you know, instead of giving her constructive criticism, he'd done it in a very negative way and just filled her with dread and thinking that there was absolutely no way she was going to pass it.
I'm trying to figure out why would one, do we use that many steam engines still?
There are quite a few. There are quite a few around here, actually, sort of touristy pleasure trips. So
right, but I mean, I think that might be a more stringent exam than they have for regular truck drivers here.
Well, yeah, it might well be. So as you might imagine, I was thinking, I was fairly newly qualified as well, and I'm thinking, how long is this rewind going to take? You know? So I did make sure I didn't have anybody in after. It didn't take 8 hours, I'm very happy to say, but it did take a little longer than it should have done, you know, ideally. But it worked an absolute treat. We did the reframe, and I got a wonderful message from her a week or so later saying she'd passed with flying colours.
Fantastic.
So it was lovely, but that I think is possibly the most unusual thing I've had to deal with so far. Yeah. How about you guys? What's your most unusual?
Oh, I'd have to think about it. Denise, what about you?
Yeah, I don't. I think just about everything. I've had at least 2 people ask me for everything. The one that always we've mentioned several times in the various podcasts we've done that is people coming. They want to forget a particular person, and they just want to cut them out completely from their life, which is not doable. No. And you spend more time trying to explain to them why they wouldn't want that to happen than actually hypnotizing them. Yeah, it is nice to be able to tell people we can make it just really, really unimportant, so just don't have to think about it anymore, but I can't make it go away. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think I've never had anything what I would regard as that unusual. I'm doing some other work I've been doing recently is very, very different with the trans community, people who are transitioning and getting used to using their new voice, which they've had professional voice training for. But I've got mental blocks in the use of, that's been ongoing with a number of clients over the months now, and I've been having brilliant success with it. And it's not something that ever occurred to me. It was a professional voice coach who approached me, said, you know, she's been getting some fantastic results with these people in training the voice from the technical aspects, but they've got mental blocks when it comes to using it outside of the training sessions. And she just said to me, do you think hypnotherapy would work? I said, let's give it a go. And we had some brilliant results right from the outset.
Yeah. So your school will start in April?
We start in April.
Do you have a wait list? So we can put the wait list in our show notes so people can sign up.
Well, I'm sure we can send you some information. We don't have a list, but we do have an application process.
Okay.
I'll put the website in the show notes, Karen.
That would be the ideal way to do it, I think.
Right.
And yeah, it's a very simple process. You just send an email in, and then which which school you're interested in, because there's going to be about 8. Mainly at the moment, mainly in the north of England, although apparently we're opening one in Guildford as well, which was
wow,
news.
down in Surrey.
That was news to me yesterday. So that's exciting. So that'll be 9 to start off with. So yeah, starting in April, everybody's really excited about it. Can't wait to get going.
Are you going to run twice a year? Because I assume everybody's in the same cohort. Okay.
Yeah, we are. So it'll be April, September, and then October to March. So yes, we'll be 2 courses every year. Fantastic. Looking forward to it. So yeah, and as I said, the other, we sort of touched on this earlier, and then we moved away from it. The walking therapy is also that's going to be another aspect of the course that hasn't been included, and I don't think is included in any other course. But because of my love of nature, and that's my place to go, I looked into it during lockdown. Actually, that was when I really started to pay attention to it, and it's just
When you say it's offered by the course that you're running, or is it offered across all of the ones that are under Kathy's new academy?
It's going to be in all the new ones. Yeah,
okay.
It's going to be covered across the board.
So nobody has to worry about, am I signing up for the right one because I want to do.
Well, no, but obviously Preston's going to be the best one.
Well, naturally. So the only place I've heard of is that you can walk around and around Winkley Square.
Well, actually, walking around, just walking is very beneficial to us, as well, as we've already mentioned. There's lots of research out there to show that even if you can't get to a green space, still worth going out. It just helps to settle the mind. Nature's fantastic because there are so many things that we talk about: fractals, the noises, seeing some fantastic wildlife, just puts everything into perspective, I think. And there are so many metaphors you can use with people in the natural world.
We're going to have you back, because the usual thing to say is, and what do you think you'll be doing next? But you already, it's concrete now. You just got to wait for the passage of time. I assume you're going to stick with this for a bit before you add anything else to the mix. Because
I think so.
It takes a little while. Yeah.
It needs to bed in, doesn't it?
Really? Do you know what you've not mentioned, Karen? Sorry to jump in.
What have I not mentioned?
Hypnofix.
Oh gosh, no, I haven't done it.
Denise, watch Denise's ears prick up now.
Hypnofix it's like a headband that it's like a very portable EEG with instant data, so you can track what's going on in your client's brain while you're doing the session.
Is that something you would use from a research point of view, or is it more of a convincer for your clients?
It's going to be both, I'd say. It's good from a research point of view because you can sort of prove that things are happening. But yeah, it's also a convincer for your clients, because if they're a bit doubtful, you can actually show them, well, this is what happened in your brain during that session.
Yeah. It would be, I'm going to have to look into it. I have some lovely, lovely clients because I work pretty much only online. I see very few people in person. But I have had several people who've had really good success, and they come and they tell me they feel really good and X, Y, and Z has happened. And then they say, I don't understand. Are you really hypnotizing me?
Yeah, you get that. I feel much better, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
And my very famous lady, I did a lady and I gave her a really, really low rate because she was very fixed income. And she came, I always require people to have a second session that's built into it. She came out of second session. She said, it didn't, you lovely voice, but it didn't do anything. I said, oh, what have you been up to in the last 2 weeks? She came to me because she was having sort of social anxiety. We're coming out of COVID and she'd been locked up for a long time. And she was an older woman. She said, well, I've joined a walking group and I'm joined the golf club and I'm going away on vacation. It didn't work. Let me know if you need anything else.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? People just,
because it's such a natural way that it works. It's not like suddenly there's a light bulb and you say, oh.
Yeah. Things just fall into place, don't they? And it feels, as you say, feels so natural. People think, well, I didn't need to come to you then. It's going to happen.
Don't you think that's like a lot of things in life, isn't it? When you make something look easy to somebody.
Yeah.
Because like you say, it is a very softly approach and process, isn't it? And yeah, I get that. Something it's like, I'm not sure if it's working or not. Oh, well, what's been good this week? What have you done? And it's a lot of things that they weren't doing 3 weeks before.
Yeah.
So, Karen, can I just take you right back to when you first started practicing as a therapist?
You can.
Because you did some really interesting work, and I'm sure our listeners would be interested in it. You did a lot with cancer patients, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, that was one of the ways I got experience volunteering with 2 cancer charities. And it was a lovely thing to do. I wasn't sure, to be honest, when I first started how I would find it, because I've lost lots of people to cancer, which is what drew me to it, but it was also a bit but it was a lovely thing to do. Very satisfying thing to do. You've got to be gentle, obviously, when you're working with people who are sometimes, it's a terminal illness, but we can still help them. We can still help them to relax. We can still help them to focus on what's going well and what's been good, and help them to face the future as well.
Can you believe it? We've filled up an entire show, Karen.
Fantastic.
So, well, we're not going to cut you off until you've said everything you want to say. You can, of course, come back and say other stuff. You want to come back in the summer of next year and tell us how your first cohort's gone?
I would love to. That would be fantastic. Thank you. Yeah.
No, that would be great. That would be great. But is there anything you'd like to say to our viewers and listeners, Karen, about SFTA or about how people can contact you if they've seen you today and would like to have therapy with you? I'll put your website on the show notes.
Yeah,
as well.
Absolutely. Please do. And I would love to hear from anybody who's interested in the course. I think, Martin, you're going to put the SFTA website up there as well. Yeah. And I honestly think it is the most innovative and exciting way of teaching hypnotherapy in the UK at the moment, because it's just drawn so many people's experience, people who've been tutoring for a long time. So we know what works, we know what doesn't work, and also I don't know how many years experience as therapists you'd have if you added us all up together. But there's an awful lot of experience that we want to share with people, and we really want to give people the best training possible with the best support we can give them, and turn out competent, capable, confident, and happy practitioners. That's what we want to do. Yeah.
Right. So it was really nice meeting you.
I'd love to meet you too, Denise. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
You're more than welcome, Karen, and we'll definitely get you back on in a few months' time.
I will look forward to that and giving you an update. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed listening. Please remember, this podcast is designed to give you an insight into therapeutic hypnosis and is for educational purposes only. So remember, consult with your own healthcare professional if you think something you've heard may apply to you or a loved one.
If you found this episode useful, you can apply for free continuing professional development or CME credits using the link provided in the show notes. Feel free to contact either of us through the links in the show notes. Join us again next week.